When I said yes to this, it was the only thing that scared me.
You surrendered and heard the message loud and clear.
Really did. I heard kindness. That is the work that has to happen. Kindness is a universal language. No one was doing applied sciences. No one was doing the knowledge translation.
There's no communication anymore. We've lost that in America.
I knew the challenges that this would be an uphill battle. And I said, let's try to understand the space.
If you could wave a magic wand and just do one thing, what would you do? You spent years with another friend of mine, Scott Harrison at Charity Water, helping raise over $100 million. I had met Scott when he was a $1 million nonprofit. I encouraged him to write a book. I encouraged him to be a public speaker. He's probably one of the best speakers. Tell us about that experience, what you learned, and what made you walk away from that and bet everything on kindness.
Everything you said is so true about him, and that's what drew me to him. So I was living in Florida and working as a fundraiser for a hospital system. My husband and I were eager to move to New York, and I knew if I went, there would be only one place I would want to work, with was Charity Water. I had long been following and admired him and his vision and the way he had structured the organization. So I wrote him a letter and FedExed it to him so that he would have to sign for it. And he emailed and he asked if we could meet. And I basically spoke to him about my passion for what he was doing and how I thought I could help him. My background in fundraising was more on ultra high net worth individuals and major donors. And so I came in early days. I joined the organization in 2012, quite a few years ago. Yeah. And I want to tell you too, one amazing story about him. It was quite an intense interview process, and I had to fly up a couple times and meet with several people and executives and his wife and co-founder. And so we get to the very end, and they had me do a pretty robust questionnaire. I submitted it, and I blind copied my dad, who was my mentor, my best friend, my biggest champion. He had read my answers. And so I send it to Scott, blind copy my dad. I'm in the final step. And my dad replies all and is like, baby girl, I'm so proud of you. This is so amazing. And I'm like, there goes my job. Most unprofessional thing you can do. And Scott writes me right back. And he's like, my dad would do the same thing. I'll be in touch. And so he hires me. And
wow.
Yeah, that was always a funny little anecdote. And honestly, Charlie, it was the most incredible experience of my career being a part of that team and getting to work alongside of him. I learned so much. I had the humbling opportunity to travel with him and to support him in his relationships and help build out and expand the fundraising program. I had an amazing boss that came in and is still a good friend. And, it was just such a special place and special team. And so I never saw my life anything other than being there, quite honestly. But this was also at the same time that I was going through my own journey, I guess you can say, of healing, facing the music of my past.
And when did you meet your current husband in this journey?
Goodness, we met when I was 23 and got married when I was 25. So we were a few years into being married, 3 years into being married when I joined Charity Water.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, so we moved up there. I was 20. I think I joined him when I was 27 or 8 or something. So so I was in intense therapy and just learning a lot about myself. And several people were asking me, is this your forever? Do you want to be a fundraiser forever? But I was going back to who I was. And it was no, I had a bigger vision for my life. I had deeper desires, loved fundraising.
I ran a nonprofit called Tendro. It was a peer-to-peer group for nonprofit leaders. We grew it to 34 countries, 1,000 social entrepreneurs. And the reason I started R360 was because that skill set that you have is rare, and most nonprofit leaders don't have it themselves. So they have to hire people.
Yeah.
And they typically don't have the budgets to hire the right people or go through an interview process that Scott went through to hire somebody great like you. And that's why I created R360. But you had these skills. You'd been bullied, which was trauma. And if you could make the world kinder, It's just your origin story and your abilities. I can just see it so clearly now.
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, it was, I'm gonna be honest, not easy to walk away. I thought I wanted to do something, I had a lot of ideas. Kindness came kind of at the tail end of everything. I thought maybe I'd do hospitality, and I had a whole plan around that. I got offers to come run foundations for people, be a chief of staff to somebody, like, and I just was trying really hard to surrender to God and, like, ask for guidance.
You surrendered and heard the message loud and clear.
Really did. I heard kindness. That it was so crazy. And, yeah, so I left June 2015, and one of the donors that I was working with at Charity Water, we were having my goodbye lunch, and he shared that he was also thinking about his legacy and that he felt kindness was the most important thing, and he wanted to do something with me. And what did I think about that? And so it was very serendipitous, universe working, God intervening, whatever you want to call it, bringing us together. But I didn't want to jump right in. I was trying to take time to be really thoughtful with it. So his foundation brought me in as a consultant. And I said, let's try to understand the space. Let's figure out what would we do. Truth be told, I didn't want to start a nonprofit. I knew how hard they were.
Right.
I I knew the challenges, that this would be an uphill battle for a long time. And not only that, Charlie, at the time, 10 years ago, Dr. Doty being included in this, every researcher I met with would say the same thing. This is the most important thing we have for humanity: empathy, compassion, love, kindness. If we don't have that, we have nothing. But we're not applying it. Like, we can show you the studies and the evidence and we do the research, but we're not figuring out, what does it mean for policy? What does it mean for interventions within school systems? And that's where we saw the gap. My co-founder and I very quickly realized no one was doing applied sciences. No one was doing the knowledge translation. And the final thing I'll say is that when I said yes to this with Neil, it was the only thing that scared me. And I could keep fundraising. The thing that intimidated me was I was trying to figure out how to build a movement around a virtue, which many people thought was stupid, soft, fluffy, not as important as the water crisis. So I faced a lot of skepticism, let's say.
Well, imagine many, many years ago, there was a marginal Jew called Jesus, and he wanted to start a movement around one word: love.
Yes, I
You
love that.
know,
Yes, yes.
didn't go well for him, but he started quite a movement,
Yes, you did.
and he had a mission, and he cried, and well, he cried when he went to see Lazarus, but I think he cried because he knew that that was the start to the walk to the cross. But tell me the difference between being nice
Mm,
and being kind, because you've said publicly that those are not the same thing.
they're not, no. Um, my easiest illustration that everyone like loves and remembers, and so I always go back to it, is nice is not telling someone when they have food in their teeth, and kind is telling someone when they have food in their teeth. Digging deeper, what do I mean? Niceness doesn't take courage. It's about a politeness, being courteous. Kindness is a depth. It is courageous sometimes. It's bravery. It's a willingness to see someone and do something about it. What you said about, the person who's homeless that Dr. Doty took to get food, we did research on the homeless, and what we found is that they look for dignity. Just look me in the eye when you walk by me. More than the dollar, they care that you see them as a human being. And so that is what kindness is illustrating. It's the side that's a little uncomfortable for us, right? It's easier to just ignore that we're walking by because we don't want to face our own issues, that we don't want to help them, or we don't want to take time to see them. But that's what kindness is. It's the willingness to pay that cost or take that energy of yourself. And so that would be the easiest way that I would distinguish between those two.
It's also hard to hate someone that you're sitting next to having a conversation. And I think God really has a sense of humor, because I believe he gave everybody divinity, but then he created 10,000 religions and 10,000 languages.
Mhm.
I get this question: if you could wave a magic wand and just do one thing, what would you do? And I would say I'd have one language.
Mm,
Everybody can talk to each other. Everybody can understand. You know, Israel's 23% Arab. Most people don't realize that, but most Israelis don't speak Arabic, and most Arabs don't speak Hebrew. And it's like, hey, if you can't even converse, and I just opened a Substack about 5 months ago or 4 months ago, and some of the people that have come at me hot, like really hot, I respond respectfully but forcefully. Then they come back again and again and
mm,
again
mhm,
and again. And now we're friends. They're my biggest supporters. And I think that on Sunday I started something called Dear Charlie, which is all the commentary back and forth, the ones that make me laugh, the funnest ones. And people get more sometimes from just reading the comments and the arguments. And we've lost that in America. I was once on a show on CNN called Crossfire, and I thought it was the favorite show. You had somebody from the right, somebody from the left, two guests, and you'd hear one side and go, yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And then you hear the other and go, well, huh, it's a
yes.
little more complicated. But by the end of the show, you left intelligent about the issue. That doesn't exist anymore. It's like my way or the highway. And if you don't believe what I believe, you're a fascist.
Mhm,
There's no communication anymore.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. You're hitting on something I think is important, which, one, would love us to all speak the same language. And since we don't, we will say kindness is a universal language. You don't need words to show actions of love and kindness toward others. But in these environments that we're finding ourselves in, it's so important to come together with common ground and to try to understand what it means to have difficult conversations that are still built on respect, not needing to be right, but being respectful. Let me plant a seed, Charlie, that one of our donors is doing an event at the Capitol building in April to screen one of his films called A Case for Kindness and facilitate a dialogue around Republicans versus Democrats in the country right
Right.
now. I would love to extend an invite to you and whoever else you think might resonate with this, because that is the work that has to happen. We have to create opportunities where we're showing what it means to bring people together from different perspectives and show that we're human first. We're human first, and we have more alike than different. We're like 99% the same. Our differences are like less than 1%, but we always focus on that as the thing to separate us. And I think that's where we need to change the conversation.